Let's go ahead and welcome you inside our CBS Sports HQ studios. I'm Jordan Giorgio alongside Mike O'Donnell for your post-game coverage after this one. Let's start with your initial takeaways.
Not the cleanest basketball game in the world, but that happens in the Big 12 late in the season. Kansas State just couldn't find any efficiency on the offensive end. Iowa State found a way to win on the road in a difficult environment without Keyshawn Gilbert, their second leading scorer. That's a big deal. So they're able to rest Keyshawn Gilbert. You get the win. You don't hurt your resume. And they were able to find ways. Really, their defense won that game. Right, they held Kansas State 2 for 20 from the three-point line. That's about as good as it gets. But their ability to score off of Kansas State's mistakes is really what makes Iowa State so good in a potential Final Four team. They scored 22 points off of 17 Kansas State turnovers. It doesn't get any better at taking great defense and turning it into offense. You just read that highlight of Tamin Lipsey get the steal, go out and run in transition. That was the game for Iowa State, and that's what they have to hold their hat on, especially without Keyshawn Gilbert. We don't know how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that and obviously keep you posted here on CBS Sports HQ with the latest. Obviously, they get the win, but I do want to nitpick here because as we eye now the Big 12 conference tournament, of course, and then also the Big Dance. One thing that I think I've noticed over the course of the season was Iowa State in their inability to really close out halftime and also when those games are really close down the stretch. Specifically in this game, they actually led 34-18 with 3 minutes left to go in the first half, and then Kansas State went on an 8-0 run. Why is that? And we know that's not going to be acceptable come tournament time. How do you get that right, and what is that attributed to?
First of all, I'll give you a compliment. That's a ball knower question. That's a really, really good question. And when you look at the totality of Iowa State's season and you see those 3 losses in a row, I mean, those losses and where it felt like Iowa State was totally out of rhythm was when Milan Momcilovic was out. And so they had to adjust. And they didn't play well. They couldn't find rhythm on the offensive end. They forgot essentially how to play offensively without Momcilovic because of his ability to stretch the floor. Even if he's not making threes, his gravity and forcing the defense out to the three-point line gives so many opportunities for the wings and the guards, and especially Joshua Jefferson down low, to get to the rim and attack for those easy twos. So they had to adjust without Momcilovic. They had to adjust today without Keyshawn Gilbert. And Keyshawn Gilbert is one of those guys in ISO. Iowa State has 2 guys in isolation situations between Curtis Jones and Keyshawn Gilbert that can get you a bucket. And you have to have that in the tournament. But they were missing one of those guys today. So sometimes that is the one Achilles heel of Iowa State. If they become complacent and stagnant on the offensive end and waiting for someone to make a play, all of a sudden the possessions look kind of they don't look clean, they don't look rhythmic. And that's an issue for Iowa State that you're 100% right must get fixed come NCAA tournament time.
Yeah, we'll see how they are able to clean that up. Let's go ahead and check in with our own Steve Lappas now, who had a front row seat to this game, who was on the call. Steve, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with your thoughts on the Cyclones' performance today.
Well, I mean, Iowa State needed this one. They needed to play better because they lost 3 of their last 4. I mean, they at one point this year were the second-best team in the country. They were number 2, and they kind of lost their way lately, not being as hard and tough. And we talked to T.J. Otzelberger before the game, not as good defensively and not as tough on the glass. That's why he was so pleased with what happened today. He kind of saw the things that he needed to see in his team, the toughness, the defensive tenacity, and they played without one of their best players in Keyshawn Gilbert, who is a kind of guy that can go get his own shot, which they're going to need in the NCAA tournament. So I think it was a good win for them to get them on the right footing before the Big 12 tournament.
You know, Steve, one last one for you. There's been a lot of talk week after week this season about the SEC and, of course, the Big Ten Conference, and a lot of praise, rightfully so. But not to be slept on is this Big 12 Conference. What can you say, big picture, about the Big 12 and really all of the contenders in it this season?
Well, Houston, Texas Tech, and Iowa State are probably the 3 best teams in the league. Kansas has really fallen off considerably lately, though they'll be in the NCAA tournament. I don't know that Iowa State and Texas Tech are teams that can win the national title. They are teams that can get to the Final Four. But Houston, that's a team that can win a national championship. And a big reason is because they are able to win games, whether in the 70s, they could win games 44, 42, grinding it out. I mean, I shouldn't say 70s because nobody can score 70 against them. They're so good defensively. L.J. Cryer is a tremendous guard. So I think Houston can win a national title. I think they have two other teams that are possible Final Four contenders. It's a really good league.
Yeah, it's been fun to see all the wealth spread out across all of the conferences. Steve Lappas joining us here, CBS Sports HQ, as Iowa State gets the win, now ends the regular season 23-8. We'll now look to the conference tournament in the Big 12, and of course, the big dance. We're just about a week away from our Selection Sunday show, March 16th. Coverage beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern on CBS, of course, or you can stream on Paramount Plus.